All right, let's jump right in. If you're a homeowner in Canada, you are almost certainly sitting on a potential gold mine of equity. But what if I told you that everything we've been taught about managing that asset is completely wrong? We're all raised with this one financial commandment, right? Pay off your mortgage. We're told debt is bad, and the big goal is to be debt-free. But as you dig into how the wealthy actually operate, you find they don't just destroy their debt, they transform it.
And just think about this for a second. Down in the United States, homeowners get this massive leg up. They can deduct their mortgage interest from their taxes. It's a huge wealth-building tool that we just don't have in Canada. Or do we? See, there's this completely legal, CRA-approved strategy that lets you effectively convert your non-deductible mortgage into a tax-deductible investment loan. It's a way to get the exact same powerful benefit just by using a different door.
So, here's the game plan for this explainer. We're going to break down exactly how this works. First, we need to totally rewire our brains about debt. Then, we'll look at the specific financial machine that makes this all possible. After that, we'll uncover the flywheel effect that just turbocharges the whole process. And then, we'll cover the absolutely critical rules and risks you cannot ignore. Finally, we'll get into the powerful mindset shift that makes this whole strategy click.
Okay, first things first. Before we can even touch the how, we have to change the why. We've got to fundamentally shift how we think about the money we owe. The goal isn't just to have zero debt. The real goal is to have smart debt.
And what's so fascinating is that the Canada Revenue Agency, the CRA, they don't even see all debt as being the same. They split it right down the middle into two totally different buckets. Over here in the bad debt pile, you've got your car loan, your credit card, and yep, your mortgage. And why is it bad? Because you're borrowing money to consume something, not to earn something. But then there's the good debt pile, and this right here is where the magic happens.
So what is good debt? Well, it's when you borrow money for one specific reason, to invest it and generate taxable income. We're talking things like dividend-paying stocks, or maybe a rental property. And because you're trying to earn income that the government is going to tax you on later, the CRA gives you a break. They let you write off your cost of borrowing. In other words, the interest you pay on that loan, it becomes tax deductible.
So this is the entire goal, the core of the whole thing. The Smith maneuver isn't about getting rid of debt. It's about building a little conveyor belt. Every single month, you take a piece of your bad mortgage debt from one pile and you systematically move it over to the good tax-deductible investment debt pile. You're basically converting your after-tax housing costs into before-tax investment costs. That sentence right there, that's the whole game.
So how does this conveyor belt actually work in the real world? Well, you can't just do this with any old mortgage. You need a very specific financial tool, an engine that was pretty much designed for this exact purpose. And that engine is called a readvanceable mortgage. It's basically a mortgage and a home equity line of credit, or a HELOC, that are fused together. The magic is in that connection. Every single dollar of principal you pay down on your mortgage instantly and automatically becomes available for you to borrow from the HELOC. There's no paperwork, no phone calls, no waiting. It just happens.
The best way to picture it is like a perfectly balanced seesaw. On one side, you have your mortgage balance. On the other, you have your available HELOC credit. Every time you make a payment and push that mortgage side down, boom, the HELOC side automatically pops up by the exact same amount. So let's walk through what 1 month looks like. Step 1, you make your regular mortgage payment. Let's say, I don't know, $1,000 of that went to principal. Step 2, instantly your available HELOC credit increases by that same $1,000. Step 3, you borrow that new $1,000 from the HELOC. Step 4, you transfer it to a separate, non-registered investment account, and keeping it separate is super important for tracking. And then step 5, you use that money to buy an asset that's expected to produce income. And that's it. You just converted $1,000 of bad debt into good debt. Now, you just rinse and repeat every single month. Now, that monthly cycle is powerful all on its own, but we haven't even talked about the turbocharger yet. This is the part of the strategy that creates this incredible feedback loop, and it just accelerates everything. Okay, so at the end of the year, you add up all the interest you paid on that HELOC loan. Because you use that borrowed money to invest, it is now a tax deduction. For someone in a decent tax bracket, this could easily generate a tax refund of hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars. Let's just use $700 as an example. This is what you call found money. I love that term, because it's true. This money literally did not exist before you started this process.
Now check this out. This is the flywheel. Instead of going on a shopping spree with that $700 refund, you use it to make a lump sum prepayment on your mortgage. And what happens then? Well, your bad debt mortgage balance drops by $700.
And because of our seesaw, your available good debt HELOC limit instantly rises by $700. So what do? You borrow and invest that extra $700. This generates an even bigger interest deduction and an even bigger tax refund next year, which you then use to do the exact same thing all over again. This flywheel effect is how a 25-year mortgage can get paid off in like 12 to 15 years. It's incredible.
All right, now that we've seen just how powerful this can be, we have to pump the brakes for a minute and get serious. Because this is a power tool, not a toy. There are very strict rules you have to follow and some very real risks you need to understand.
So, the CRA has one main rule. To deduct the interest, you absolutely must use the borrowed money with a reasonable expectation of income. That means investing in things that are designed to pay you. So, dividend stocks, ETFs that pay distributions, rental properties, those get the green light. What gets the red light? Assets you're just hoping will go up in price, like gold bars or most cryptocurrencies. And here's the golden rule. Never, ever, ever put these investments inside a registered account like a TFSA or an RSP. It just makes sense, right? You can't get a tax deduction for money you use to earn tax-free income.
So you might be wondering, what about the cash to pay the HELOC interest each month? This is where I found a really cool detail. You can actually make this whole strategy cash flow neutral through a process called capitalizing the interest. It's simple. You just borrow a little bit extra from the HELOC itself to cover its own interest payment. And get this, since that new little loan is being used to service a tax-deductible loan, the interest on it is also tax-deductible. It's a completely self-funding mechanism.
Okay, now for the risks. And this is not a drill. A HELOC is what's known as a demand loan, and buried deep, deep in the fine print of that contract you signed is a clause that says the bank can call the loan, meaning demand you pay it all back in full at any time for any reason. Now, is it common if you're making your payments? No, but it is a possibility you have to be aware of. This is the single biggest risk.
And risk number 2 is interest rates. Your HELOC is almost always a variable rate loan, tied directly to the Bank of Canada's key interest rate. So if the central bank starts hiking rates to fight inflation, guess what? Your borrowing costs can go up, and they can go up fast. This can put a huge strain on the math behind the strategy if you're not ready for it.
So we've gone over the mechanics, the accelerator, and the risks. But you know what the hardest part of all this is? It's not the math, it's not the taxes, it's the psychology. It requires a complete rewiring of how you look at your entire financial world. And this right here is the biggest challenge. We are just conditioned to be scared of that total debt number. And with this strategy, for maybe 20 years, your total debt might not go down 1 penny. It just changes form, from bad debt to good debt. You have to literally train your brain to stop obsessing over the liability side of your balance sheet and instead focus on the asset side. The only question that matters is this: are my total assets growing a heck of a lot faster than my total debt? That's it.
And this slide just perfectly illustrates the end game. Take a look at this 20-year scorecard. You start with a $500,000 mortgage. 20 years later, that mortgage is completely gone, but you have a $500,000 investment loan. Your total debt is the same. But look at your assets. Through investment growth, they've ballooned to $2.5 million. Your net worth has gone from $0 to $2 million. You are a multimillionaire, but you still owe the bank $500,000. The real question is, can you sleep at night with that?
So once that original mortgage is gone, you're left with 2 really powerful choices. Choice A is for total peace of mind. You sell off just enough of your portfolio to wipe out the investment loan completely. You walk away totally debt-free with a paid-off house and a mess of portfolio. Or you can choose choice B, which is what the truly wealthy often do. They embrace something called the infinity yield. They just ask a simple question: why on earth would I ever pay off a cheap, tax-deductible loan if my investments are earning way more than it costs me to borrow? And so they keep the debt forever, letting their assets grow and grow.
And that really brings us to the final, critical question that this whole strategy forces every single Canadian homeowner to ask themselves. Your home equity, it is one of the largest assets you will ever own. So right now, is it just sitting there, trapped inside your walls, sleeping? Or have you put it to work? The choice really is yours.